Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and this is episode number 20 of Birds of a Feather. I want to thank you guys again for all the support and all the love that y'all have shown towards this series. I really do appreciate it, and I plan to continue and do this for as long as I possibly can. But yeah, this is episode 20. We're going to be recapping, talking about, and going over the Orioles win over the Cincinnati Reds. It was a very, very much needed win, and yeah, let's just get right into it. Going over the Orioles win today, the Orioles win 9-5 over the Cincinnati Reds, and their record now moves to 9-11 on the season. They are 5-5 at home, and they have one more game tomorrow against Cincinnati. That's an early game. I think it's around 12:30. So in about 12 hours from now, the Orioles will be playing the rubber match of this series because it is now tied 1-1. Obviously, the Reds won game 1, the Orioles win game 2, and once again, the Orioles are in another rubber match series. And this is another must-win series because the Orioles are again in a position where they can't afford to drop games this early and consistently lose this many series, not in a row, but just in a time frame. So the Orioles are 9-11 on the year. They had a great day on offense. The pitching was a little bit shaky, but they're able to fight through and get through it, which is good. So yeah, let's start off with the offense for today. So once again, the lineup was pretty much completely different from what it was yesterday. That is the Brandon Hyde special. We do know that he likes to do this. We do know that he is very analytical and matchup based, but today's lineup wasn't really analytical. He ran with the players that played today wasn't the problem. There really wasn't a problem with the offense at all. I was just saying that there was just a completely different lineup today, but this lineup worked very well, so we'll see if this lineup continues to get played in the coming games. But the offense puts up 11 total hits on the day and 9 total runs scored. They went 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position, so they didn't do very well with runners in scoring position. But if you go over and look at the Reds, they went 4 for 17 with runners in scoring position and left 13 guys on base. The Orioles left 10 guys on base, so this had the ability to be a super, super, super high-scoring game. Definitely both teams could have been in the double digits, but both teams struggled with runners in scoring position, but the Orioles, got the hits when they mattered and got the job done. So starting off with the top of the lineup, we've got Cedric Mullins, who is leading off today. He went 1 for 3, scored 2 runs, had a solo home run, and 2 walks. So he reached base 3 different times, scored 2 runs. His one hit was a solo home run that he had in the first inning. It was a leadoff home run in the bottom of the first inning to get the Orioles' day started. And once again, Cedric Mullins just continues to have such a great year for the Orioles. He's been fantastic for them. He's really been the glue that's kind of held this offense together. Even when the offense has a bad day, Cedric's still out there doing his thing. So Cedric Mullins, with an amazing game, obviously 1 for 3, reaches base 3 times, scores 2 runs, has the home run to get the scoring started for the O's. And it was a great game by Cedric, a 290 average, a 661 slug. You love to see it from Cedric. He's been great. He's been amazing. We love Cedric. He's been doing his thing. And I'm interested to see if Brandon Hyde will keep Cedric Mullins at leadoff for the games to come, or if he's going to move him down to like the 4 or 5 hole. We'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow with the lineup. But going over to the number 2 hitter was Gunnar Henderson, who, just like Cedric Mullins, also hit a home run in the first inning. At the bottom of the first inning, Cedric and Gunnar both went back-to-back to start the game for the O's, and it got the scoring started going into the second inning. It was 2-1 in the Orioles' favor, and then things got a little shaky in the second inning, but Cedric Mullins, Gunnar Henderson starts off the game for the O's going back-to-back long balls, and not just against any other pitcher. They went against Hunter Green, who was arguably going into this game the best pitcher in Major League Baseball, going into this game from how they've played within their first 4 starts. You could argue that this was the best pitcher that the Orioles have played so far this year. just in terms of how they've played this season, he was putting up one of the best seasons in Major League Baseball so far. He was having one of the best years, and I mean, he's still having an amazing year even after today. But I mean, the Orioles lit him up today. Gunnar Henderson went 2 for 3, also scored 2 runs, had a solo home run, 2 RBIs, 2 walks. He reached base 4 times. 2 walks, 2 hits, a home run, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. His average is up to a 245 now. So you'd like to see that from Gunnar. Obviously, he has a good game, then you have some off games, and he'll go back to having a good game. So hopefully this can start a little bit of momentum for Gunnar. Going down to Adley Rutschman, who was the 3-hitter. Who definitely, in terms of the Orioles hitters, was the most disappointing one of the day. And he's been pretty disappointing here recently for the Orioles. Today, within all of the hits that they had, the 11 hits, 9 runs scored, Adley Rutschman goes 0 for 4 with a walk, and his average now drops below a 200 with a 192 average. And it's looking very similar to the second half Adley Rutschman that we saw last year. Obviously, first half Adley Rutschman last year was doing great. Then he was dealing with a back injury, but he played through it in the second half of the year. He wasn't playing too great. We blamed it on the back injury. He came into this year at the first week and a half of the season. He was doing amazing. He was right there with Jordan Westburg and Cedric Mullins as the best players on the team in terms of how they were playing. And recently, Adley Rutschman has been doing just not great at all. 192 average, 289 OBP, and a 342 slug is not ideal, especially for a guy who you consider to be arguably your franchise pillar right next to Gunnar Henderson. So hopefully Adley can just find a rhythm. I feel a lot of the times with Adley, and this was a problem last year as well, where he was just kind of overcomplicating his at-bats. I felt like he was trying too hard to be a power hitter, and there was just a lot of deep fly balls to the warning track or just pop-ups and stuff like that from Adley. He wasn't necessarily striking out a lot, but it was just a lot of elevation in his in the hit, and like when in the contact he was making, it was a lot of elevation. He wasn't really striking out, and it just wasn't great for Adley. It's been very similar this year for him. Going into the league, he wasn't necessarily a guy who was going to go out there and hit 35 to 40 home runs. He was a guy in college who was a extremely good contact hitter. He could also obviously hit home runs. He had very good power, but he was, known for being a contact high average hitter. And this year so far, he just has not been great with that. Going down to Ryan O'Hearn, he went 1 for 4 with an RBI. Tyler O'Neill 1 for 4 with a run scored and an RBI. Heston Kjerstad, who didn't actually get to complete an at bat today because he got hit on the elbow by Hunter Green. I think he hit him with like a 100-mile-per-hour fastball right at the elbow. He had an elbow pad on, thank God, because if not, it would have been a lot worse for Heston. But he did have to get pulled out of the game due to a elbow contusion, which again is just a fancy way of saying a bruise. But he got an MRI, he got an X-ray. They said that it was negative, so hopefully this is just a day-to-day thing with Heston. I'm assuming that it is. The X-rays were negative, but he didn't play. He didn't play the rest of the game after his first at bat, so he didn't actually technically record an at bat because he got injured in his first one. He got replaced with Ramon Laureano, who came in as the pinch hitter. Not even the pinch hitter, really just the replacement for Heston. And Ramon Laureano goes out there and decides on a random Saturday afternoon to go out there and put up player of the game for the Orioles overall on the day. Ramon Laureano definitely had the best game out of every Oriole today. He went out there, went 2 for 4, 3 RBIs, 2 home runs, 2 runs scored, obviously. He was spectacular today. Was not expecting, whenever I woke up today, I was not expecting a 2-homer game for Ramon Laureano, but of course I'll take it every single day of the week. Ramon Laureano goes out there, has a great game, and this was very good to see because, again, he is one of those rotational guys coming off the bench who's going to rotate with Heston Kjerstad with the Colton Cowles injury, and he's also just a veteran on the team as well, so it's nice to see him go out there and have a great game. Going down to Jordan Westburg, who At the beginning of the game, it wasn't looking too great for him at all, but in the 8th inning, he really clutched up and did his thing. Jordan Westburg went 1 for 5 with a solo home run. He finally broke his hitless streak. I think it was up to an 0 for 32 straight, like 32 straight at bats with 0 hits, and he finally broke that streak with a solo home run. So hopefully, that solo home run, breaking that hitless streak, hopefully he can get himself into a little bit of momentum moving forward. His average still is at a 176, which obviously isn't great, but Jordan Westburg does get the solo home run today. Hopefully this can propel him to some momentum. Kind of the same thing with Adley. You would like to see Adley get going, maybe have a multi-hit game, and he can just kind of ride that and, find his rhythm, and we'll be good to go. Hopefully Jordan Westburg can take this home run that he got at the end of the game and just kind of carry it forward and really get going. And I will say this about Jordan. A lot of the 0 for 32 streak that he had, Jordan is better than that, and I think we all understand that Jordan Westbrook is better than that to, go 0 for 32. There was multiple different times where within that 0 for 32, even today in his early at-bats and also in his other games, I could tell, he was just getting a little bit unlucky. He was hitting the ball very hard. He was hitting the ball, 95 plus, consistently, but it was just going straight to the second baseman or straight to the third baseman. Or just, a 107 off the bat right to the outfielder. So no chance for it to even go in the gap. It just went straight to the outfielder. So again, there was a little bit of rotten luck within that 0 for 32. So you knew he would just break out of it eventually. And I think right before he hit the home run, I think he hit one 108 off the bat right to the third baseman. And then his very next at bat, he hits a solo home run. So hopefully Jordan can ride this consistency because, again, he is a big vocal point for this offense, and he is one of the key pieces for this offense to really be moving in the near future. Speaking of another key piece of this offense, not even just for the near future, but also for the long-time future and the distant future, because again, Jackson Holliday is considered to be one of the pillars of this team. You look at him, you look at Gunnar, you look at Adley. Those are the three guys that you're coming out of this rebuild surrounding them. Obviously, Jackson Holliday is 21 years old. He is extremely young. He's the second youngest player in Major League Baseball. So you can't sit here and say, oh, he's a bust, oh, he's not a superstar yet. Because, again, he is so young. But he is having a solid year. Does go 1 for 3 today. Also has a walk, so he reached base twice. Every single sort of Jackson Holliday production that you can get, I will take it every single day of the week. Because, again, him getting this production now is going to help him even later on in the next few years where he really starts to hopefully enter his prime. And then batting ninth today was Ramon Urias, who went 2 for 4 with a run scored. Ramon Urias has quietly been the Orioles' best average hitter. He doesn't have nearly as many at-bats as the other people on the roster, but when Ramon Urias does get at-bats, he consistently has produced all year. He's at a 349 batting average on the season, and hopefully Brandon Hyde can just find a way for him to play. He's a Gold Glove third baseman. He can play second base, and he's also getting some great base hits for this Orioles team, which is going to come in clutch as well. So, again, hopefully Ramon Urias can find his way to get at bats. So the Orioles today, as a team, hit 5 total home runs and also drew 7 walks as a team. So that was great to see from the Orioles. They go out there, scored 9 runs. That was enough to get the win, and a pretty comfortable one as well, a 4-run win for the Orioles. But going over to the pitching today, because the pitching was very, very interesting, because we used, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We used 8 pitchers in this game. Obviously, you can see, and as I said earlier, the Cincinnati Reds left 13 guys on base and had 17 opportunities with runners in scoring position, where they only cashed in on 4 of those. So the Cincinnati Reds were getting on base. They were getting base hits. They were getting on base quite a lot. They had 13 total hits on the day, and they also drew 9 walks as a team. So they did get on base a lot. 22 times they got on base today just from walks and hits. Crazy that we were able to win this game and only hold them to 5 runs, but this Orioles pitching staff today, They really, really fought through a lot of traffic going on today. And someone that I want to shout out real quick is Brandon Young. Brandon Young made his major league debut today for the Orioles. He was the starting pitcher. Going into this game, a lot of people thought that it was going to be a bullpen game, but Brandon Hyde let him go. He let him go into the fifth inning to see if he could get through it. Obviously, he walked the first batter he saw, so he took him out. But Brandon Young today made his major league debut, was a former minor league pitcher of the year down in Norfolk, and today he went 4 innings pitched, gave up 7 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, and a home run as well. An 81 pitch count through 4 innings. Obviously, he didn't have a great game, but whenever he did leave the game in the 5th inning, he did leave the game with a lead. So that's always nice to see. Obviously, part of that is obviously because the offense went out there and did their job, but he left the game with a 5-3 lead. And Brandon Young did his thing. He only gave up 3 runs. Obviously, I will take that. I'm not going to sit here and be upset by that. We did give up 10 hits and 3 walks as well, so he was in a lot of traffic, but he was able to fight through it. Only gave up 3 runs on the day. There was also some amazing defensive plays from the Orioles that saved some runs today as well. But Brandon Young did his thing. Very solid, and I was saying this earlier, in my mind I was thinking, Brandon Young, again, we look at the Grayson Rodriguez injury and how this might be a more serious injury than we thought, and he potentially might be out for the season. And if a guy like Brandon Young can really start to figure it out and get going and maybe get some rhythm, he could be a huge part of this Orioles team as, the 5 pitcher in this rotation. So Brandon Young, and obviously once Zach Eflin comes back, he would be the 5th pitcher in this rotation. But Brandon Young did his thing, only gave up 3 runs. He really fought through a lot of traffic today, and he was able to get out of it and able to leave the game with a lead as well. So not too many complaints about Brandon Young. Going on to Brian Baker, he 1 inning, 0 hits, 0 runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. Keegan Aiken, 0.1 innings, 2 hits, gave up a run, a walk. Wasn't very good for Keegan. Stanton Dominguez, 1 inning, 1 hit, no runs, no walks. Gregory Soto, 0.2 innings, no hits, no runs, 2 walks. Ynier Cano, 1 inning, 1 hit, no runs, no walks. Matt Bowman, didn't get through an inning but gave up 2 hits and a run, so we had to pull him. And then Felix Bautista came in at the end of the game to close out the game. 1 inning, 0 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, and a strikeout. So over the last few appearances for Felix Bautista, if we go over here and look at it, because again, Felix Bautista is a huge part of this team. This was his 5th appearance of the year. If we go through all of his appearances so far, obviously in the first appearance that he had, he didn't give up a run. The second appearance he had, he gave up 2 runs. Third appearance he had, really in the second appearance he gave up the 2 runs and the 2 walks and the 2 hits. But in the last 3 appearances, he has not given up a run. Obviously against Arizona, 1 inning, 0 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks. Toronto, 0 hits, 0 runs, 2 walks. And then today, 1 hit, 0 runs, 0 walks, 2 strikeouts. Well, that was 3 days ago. So this was his 6th appearance of the year. But Felix Bautista, again, huge part of this team. He is the closer of this team. Did get the hold today. Obviously didn't get the save because wasn't in a save scenario. But Felix Bautista did his thing. Didn't give up a run. Very important part of this team. We love Felix. We love that he's back. And it's very, very relieving to have a pitcher that you can really trust closing out games for you and holding leads, because, again, you look back to Craig Kimbrell last year, and, that was just a complete disaster. So it's nice to have Felix back again and all healthy. But looking over to the game tomorrow against the Reds. So tomorrow is Carson Spears. He's scheduled to pitch tomorrow for the Reds, but I don't think that's actually going to be the case because he did end up pitching today out of the bullpen. So I'm not sure they're going to use him tomorrow. Little confusing on that front. But tomorrow is Charlie Morton Day. So again, you have to prepare for everything. It's Charlie Morton Day. Obviously, Charlie Morton in his first 4 starts, 0-4 with an 8.84 ERA. He's been horrible this year. I'm not going to sugarcoat it again. He's been horrible, and I say this with such an attitude because he is one of the Orioles' highest paid players, and you do expect a lot for him because you did pay, a decent amount for him. So Charlie Morton getting the start tomorrow. Hopefully he can go out there and just get through like 5 innings, giving up 2 runs or less, and I would be very happy with his start. Going 6 would be great, obviously, but I don't even know if I expect that out of Charlie Morton anymore. Hopefully he can go in there tomorrow and get his first win of the year. That would be great to see, because obviously if the Orioles do win tomorrow, they take the series 2-1 against the Cincinnati Reds, and that would be back-to-back series wins for the Orioles, and you just move on. But that consistency, again, as I talked about, all it's going to take is this team to find their rhythm, find their consistency, and just move forward with it and find their way through. Because again, they can't fall in too big of a hole to start the year. They have to fight through it. They have to fight through the pitching injuries, and they have to just find their consistency on offense, because that is where they are going to be most successful, is by scoring runs, because that's what you're going to have to rely on with this team. Going over to the AL East standings before we wrap up this episode. The New York Yankees are still first at 13-8. They did lose today. The Toronto Blue Jays are second at 12-9. They also lost today. The Red Sox are 12-10. They're third. They have won their last 4 straight. And then the Orioles are fourth at 9-11, and then the Rays are fifth at 9-12. So pretty tight division. It's a 2-game difference between us and the Red Sox, and then a 3.5 game difference from the Yankees. So again, still close division. All these divisions are super close because it is still early in the year. But yeah, hopefully the Orioles can find their consistency tomorrow, get back-to-back series wins, and you just kind of ride the momentum from there. And also, if they win tomorrow, it will be their 10th win of the year. So we're hoping for double-digit wins tomorrow. And thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to Birds of a Feather. Again, this is episode number 20. I appreciate all the support, all the love you guys have shown me throughout all of the episodes. I'm having a blast doing this. And yeah, Orioles got a huge win today. Hopefully they can take the game tomorrow. It is an afternoon game tomorrow, around noon. So the episode should be up tomorrow sometime in the afternoon after the game. It actually might be, immediately after the game I might film the episode. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. The Orioles play in about 12 hours from now, so we'll see what happens with that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to the episode. If you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. If you're on Spotify, make sure to follow up if you like this content. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's day. Peace out.